like trying things out, right? I make films depending on kind of my mood, and I've done drama previously. My first few features were dramas, and I've continued to make fiction and drama. While I accidentally made this film Senna, which led to Amy, which led to Diego Maradona, and I ended up making documentaries. But I never trained in any way. When I was at film school, I only made fiction, wrote and directed fiction. All of my features, my dream was always to make movies for the cinema, and I accidentally started making documentaries that became quite successful. And then when this film comes along, I suppose I was thinking about what's going on in the world. I'm a certain age. I've got children, teenagers. I'm worried about what's happening around me. I'm worried about the world. I've been very lucky through work to travel a lot. I've met lots of people. I've been to lots of places, and I could just see there were a lot of things happening in Asia, in Latin America, in Eastern Europe, in the UK, and here in the US that seemed really similar. And I was worried about the kind of downward spiral, the breakdown of democracy. I'm worried about what's happening with the climate. I'm worried about technology and what it's doing to us and our kids. And I just thought, can I somehow make a movie that covers all of this? It's not going to be one character, it's not one subject, it's not one theme. For me, it's all connected. My brain always sees connections. All of my films have been, I would kind of say they're like a mosaic, lots of little pieces that I put together. And when you zoom out, you see a character. You learn who Amy Winehouse was through lots of little pieces. With this film, I was like, can I do that globally about everything going on in the world? I show you a little piece and say that is where we are right now, but I'll frame it as a sci-fi film. I'll frame it as if it's in the future, as a kind of dystopian film, because the world to my eyes and my brain, everything feels so. I cannot believe some of the things I'm seeing and hearing and journalists are dealing with or politicians are saying. It all feels dystopian. So I thought, well, can I make a futuristic sci-fi doc?
So describe what you end up with. You have documentary footage and news footage, basically, and then you have your narrative story. Tell us how you weave these.
Because I knew there wasn't going to be one central character, because I knew that I wanted it to be an essay film. So there's a brilliant director, French New Wave director called Chris Marker. I don't know if you've ever seen any of his work or heard of him, but he made films in the 60s, like the same time that Godard and Truffaut and all of these French kind of journalists who became filmmakers. He made these films, which were essay films. And so in a way, a lot of people have copied that. I thought, let me look at that. But in one of his films called Le Jeté, he did this thing where he mixed actors with photographs, like documentary photographs and actors. And I thought, maybe there's something in that where the audience always needs something to grab onto, like some sort of like they want to come back to a person or a place. I knew the film, the documentary footage, which we researched, I did all the interviews, we edited it, we put it all together. I wanted it to be very tough, a punch in the stomach. It's quite intense, very fast cut, a bit like people scrolling through social media. So I knew I needed something to frame it. I needed something to connect it. And I needed a character for the audience to be able to grab onto. So I thought I was always going to make this with a central character who has a voiceover, which is very much kind of like a classic of sort of sci-fi literature or sci-fi movies. And so I wanted to play with the idea of, can you do a documentary using factual footage, but also play with genre, which I've always done in my films. My first feature film, The Warrior, was a Western. Amy was a musical. Senna was an action film. Diego Maradona was a gangster film. And I've never done a sci-fi. So I thought, what if I do a sci-fi doc? And the drama is like the audience have someone to go back to, but they provide hopefully some sort of emotional heart. But you understand they are us. They're the eyes. They're seeing what's going on in the world like we are, but they also feel helpless. Like, what can I do? I'm only one person. I'm trying to get on with my life. Her existence is a bit like us. We go to work, you get on the subway, you get on the car, you go to work, you do your thing, you come home. I survived another day. In her existence in the future, she's living underground in a tunnel in an old mall, in an old department store. And there's all these random people that are there who are vanishing. And so I wanted the audience to be able to experience the documentary footage around the world, but always have a person that we come back to that centers us.
Well, the documentary footage is pretty brutal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
You need
and
to recover. And so the fiction couldn't be so complex and so heavy. It is a bit of a like a moment to digest what you've just seen and to recover But everything is there for a reason because it's also showing you this is the way the world is going to end up.
You also build a documentary with a whole bunch of voiceovers. I believe it's the Filipina journalist Maria Res has it, who says sort of says, well, what we have now, we have all this, all everything in place for a very dystopian future.
Yeah.
What's stopping us from? What is stopping us? Nothing is stopping us. So you're the character. Okay, let's talk about Samantha Morton's character.
Yes.
She says it's too late for me. Uh, from what you're showing from the documentary footage, it's too late for all of us, or is it?
Yeah, Michael, that's the thing, right? So that was always my feeling of saying, in terms of a movie, I'm saying, oh, but this is okay. This is all in the future. It's 2073. We haven't got there yet. We should start doing something now because whatever's happened, we can't change. We're not in a time travel movie. We're not in a sci-fi film. We have our reality. So my feeling is whatever's happened, pay attention, look, do something today, do something now, start changing something now. And collectively, we have to figure out what we're going to do tomorrow and the day after. And so you're right. In a way, it's quite shocking when she says what she says. 72% of the world is living under authoritarian rule right now. And the issue, I guess, is that people are selfish or people are busy, that they think, yeah, but not me. That's you over there. That's not my problem. Well, the thing about that is if we don't do anything when it's happening over there and over there and over there and over there, then it's going to come to you soon enough. And then you're like worried, saying, oh, why didn't I say something? Why didn't I do something when it was happening everywhere else? Right? What were our leaders? What part did they play in all that? Then that leads to it happening here and now. So that's the idea. I'm very aware when I started making this film, Michael, it was everyone, most of my executives, most of the finances, most of the people I spoke to said, US is fine. That's all old news. We're great. You know what? And then the film comes out now, and everyone's like, shit, what should we do? And because I don't live here, I live in London, I'm an outsider. Sometimes it's better for people who live outside to show you it's not going away. You've got this issue and it's going to keep coming back. And your electoral system is like ping pong. It's just like bang, 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 bang. And the people who live here are the ball getting smashed from one side to the other.
The way you've described the authoritarianism and the tech industry and the collusion of they're all in bed together. It's
When I started the film, no one saw those connections. You remember I've started this 4 years ago, and now it's very apparent, right? It's not a secret anymore. It's
so
not happening in back rooms.
you've sort of the documentary part of the footage, the narrative that you've constructed, it leaves one kind of hopeless. What can you do? What specifically can you do?
So, okay, on different levels, there will be a personal thing that you could do. There's probably a few apps that you could delete off your phone right now,
Okay.
right? And then if you've got family, you could say the same thing to them. The reason why I didn't put in and here's the simple thing to do, vote. Here's the thing, go to this website. It's because it will be different for every person. Certain people have more power than others. Certain people don't even, are worrying about feeding their children. So it's a different level. I would say a good starting point is the journalists that we feature in the film. If you want to know more, follow them, see what they've been writing for decades. They've been talking about this for a long time. Maria's known here. Maria's not so known in Europe, for example. So my feeling was, I want you to know who Maria Ressa is because she's, having made films about athletes and musicians and famous people. When I made this film, I thought, my heroes right now are journalists who are holding power to account. And I've met them, I've spoken to them, I've read things that they've written, I've read their books, I've read their articles. I think they're the most important people and they should be protected. All of them are being attacked. Many of them are being killed around the world. Many of them are being imprisoned around the world. So a starting point would be read about them, find out what they've been saying, and then pay attention and then do something. change something in your life, talk to your family and your friends, change the way that they're existing, and then within your community start doing something. And then we've got to figure out what to do on a bigger level, and to understand that globally we're all on the same side, right? The people are all suffering. And this idea that I think politicians often want us, they want to dehumanize people, they want to attack people around the world. They want us to think that they're your enemies, when actually we're all kind of experiencing the same shit everywhere. And I think somewhere or another, the bigger picture will be, what are we going to do about these political systems that keep certain people in power? There's no controls over tech. There's no controls over, what these people can do. They're not even elected. These tech bros are not elected, but they're going to be in power now in the US. So what are we going to do? There's no laws in place. When liberals are in power, they should be the ones bringing in certain laws. They don't, because when they're in power, they don't want to piss off the people that got them there. And I think we've got to figure out what we're going to do to change the system so that people are more worried about us rather than they just get richer and everyone else's lives get shitter.
Well, thank you, Asif. My time is over. I wish you lots of luck with this film, and I can't wait to see the next one as well.
Thanks a lot. Cheers. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.